Hello, everyone. It's Shane Conto, your Wasteland review, and welcome to Wasteland Talks, my weekly talk show where I talk about whatever the hell I want. And this particular episode is a top 10 episode, and I have my pal Nick from SiftPop joining me, and we're going to go year by year top movies so that we have our top 10 films from the 2010s. Nick, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
And this is going to be a fun little adventure we could go on back to as far as we've seen movies.
Yeah,
so,
right?
so obviously this is probably the easiest one since these are the freshest full decade that we have. Maybe someday in 7 years we could go back into the 2020s. But for now, we're starting with the 2010. So basically, each year we'll each pick a film, talk about said film, and we'll move on to the next year, going from 2010 to 2019. So, Nick, let's get things started with 2010.
All
And
right.
what is your pick?
My pick for 2010 may seem a little bit basic because I feel like this one's a lot of people's, but it is Inception. And I did go back and forth a bit on this one or Toy Story 3,
Mm-hmm.
because it's hard to pick a favorite. Like, do I go with the one I've seen the most times, like the one I constantly rewatch, or the one that just no matter, even if I've only seen it like a dozen times, is it something that I want to, is it really sticks with you? And
Yeah.
Inception is one of those. It sticks with you, and it put Nolan on the map for me in a way that the Batman movies just didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I love the Batman movies that he did, but Inception was one of those where it was like, oh, we're gonna need to watch everything he makes here on out, and
Yeah.
so I that's why I started really collecting all his stuff, and it's one of those great movies.
Absolutely. And it's one of the most dynamic and challenging blockbuster science fiction films you're going to watch.
Yo,
Here's the thing.
absolutely.
It's like just the inventiveness of the filmmaking, the special effects, this cast, it all really comes together. And just that trailer, when that dropped and cities were folding in on themselves and the whom,
It was one of the first movies where I said, I have absolutely no idea what is going on in this trailer. I have no idea what this movie is going to be about. And this was back in the time when my favorite thing to do at the movies was watch the trailers because I just couldn't wait to see what all the new movies were. But this one, I'm like, I have no idea what this is, and I have to see it now. Like it's just it had me from minute one all the way to the end. And I love it because it's one of those movies where I just watched it maybe a few months ago, and it felt like watching it for the first time again because you're still trying to piece it all together. Like, how does it work? How do the layers work? What exactly is he saying here? What is the mystery? Are there more layers to it? Like, is the top supposed to tell you something? Is he still in the dream? Like, there's so much
13
that you
years
forget.
later,
Yeah,
still
exactly.
arguing about the end of this movie. Says a lot.
It does.
And
It's
now every time you're sitting in the theater and syncope starts coming
Oh
up on
yeah.
screen, you're just like, oh my God, what's Nolan got
Yeah.
next?
Well, I forget what we were seeing, but we weren't expecting the Oppenheimer trailer. And the movie goes the trailers go dark, and I'm just like, huh, this isn't the movie isn't starting already. They haven't Nicole Kidman hasn't come on. It can't be the movies yet. But then the syncope thing comes up. I'm like, oh my God, it's it. It's it.
What was it? Nope.
Yes, that's
I
what it
think it
was. It
was,
was in
yeah,
front of Nope.
yeah, because I was there with my wife, our friend Paige, and our friend Joe, and I'm the one who like gasped when
Hmm.
like syncope started crawling across the screen because I know what we're in
I
for.
know.
So there you go. Now, my Coens is showing with my 2010 pick, which is their adaptation of True Grit. Now,
Okay.
I'm a big Western fan. I'm a big Coen Brothers fan, and they did a Western. And sorry, people out there, this is leaps and bounds better than the original True Grit
Oh,
movie. leaps and bounds better. No offense, John Wayne, but like Jeff Bridges is, well, it's so funny because now it feels like a caricature because Jeff Bridges kind of didn't lose the whole, you know, Jeff Bridges, and just like
Mm,
him popping up
this
in
is
things
Rooster
like that.
Cogburn.
Yeah. And Haley Steinfeld blowing up, getting nominated for an Oscar for this. Even Matt Damon as LaBeef.
Oh my
And
God,
just
yes, he was so good in that.
the whole cast is fantastic. You have little tiny roles from like Donald Gleason is in this movie for like 2 minutes. Um, you have the but I got my bear skin guy who's just like, what? The Coens just know how to make small characters just pop on screen.
Oh, they really
And
do.
this is such a great adaptation of the novella because, like, I've read the novella, and this is definitely one of the truest adaptations I've seen of a book. And the Coens really know how to do that. Just look at No Country for Old Men. And just this is such a great Western, and obviously Deacon shooting, Carter Burwell composing, Coen brothers directing. It's just perfection.
Yes, I agree. I that's one I've only actually seen once, but I really did enjoy it. I never saw the original, and I remember when it came out, so I must have caught it very shortly thereafter. But that one, I did enjoy it, and for a second, I thought you were gonna say this is the Coens doing Western. Sorry, No Country for Old Men, and I was gonna be like, no, that one's their best.
Well, no, well, it's funny because like No Country for Old Men's like my number 7 favorite movie of all time.
Oh my
So
gosh,
like
yes.
spoiler alert for the next time for the next decade that we do moving back in time. But no, this is just once you watch this, you realize that like that 60s adaptation of True Grit, like Glenn Campbell was in it. Like country western singer Glenn Campbell was LaBeef. The girl that played the main character is so annoying. And just it's not. And it's just John Wayne just being like grumpy John Wayne with an eye patch on. So, but you notice neither of us picked the King's Speech.
How interesting you should say that.
Which it's a charming film and I really like it. But come
I
on,
know the Academy got it wrong that year.
the
The King's
Weinstein's
Speech,
showing.
I watched the King's Speech on a treadmill at a gym one day. I was just like, ah, this is good. I didn't finish it because I was done treadmilling. And sometimes, like up in the air, I stayed and watched the whole movie. I was very, very tired at the end of that treadmill. But King's Speech, I was like, no, I'm gonna go now.
I'm
I
gonna go
got it.
now. Now, moving forward to 2011. So, Nick, what do you got for 2011?
The 2011 was a year that I did decide to go with. What's one that I watch more often because um this one is a staple in our household every year since I discovered it, and that's Arthur Christmas. I absolutely adore this movie. It is so incredibly charming, and I don't know if it's like the British of it all, but it's just between the voice cast, the witty, quirky humor, the just the true heart of this movie. It literally gets me teary up every time at the end. So like it's just an all-around great movie on top of the fact that it's a great Christmas movie that you can
Mhm.
watch every year. It's great for the kids. Everybody loves it in my house. So that's why I went with Arthur Christmas.
I haven't seen Arthur Christmas, so I don't have anything to add.
Oh,
So,
you should see it. It's very charming.
well, you convinced me.
You've got Professor X as Arthur, McAvoy, John Mac
I was about to say
yeah.
Patrick Stewart.
No, not Patrick Stewart. That would have been fun. No, you know what? Patrick Stewart should have been in this movie, but no, you've got McAvoy as Arthur, and he plays it just like very sweet, and you almost wouldn't even recognize his voice. His older brother is Hugh Laurie, and his older brother is his name is Steve, and Steve is the next in line to be Santa.
Mm,
And so it's about the Arthur and Steve are
Steve.
Santa's sons. And the way that Christmas is run now is there's a giant spaceship sled and it gets all over the place. And Jim Broadbent plays Santa, and he's a bit
Nice.
of a adultish, older. He's kind of getting up there in years, and he's about ready to retire. And so
Mm.
Steve, who's the next in line, who wears a suit, everything is prim and proper, and he is just like ready to take over as Santa. And they accidentally, due to like some mishap, they forget to deliver a present. And Arthur, who is in charge of the mailroom, discovers this present and realizes that this little girl is not going to get her bike for Christmas. And he sets off with an elf. And the best part is that the grandfather Santa, Grand Santa, voiced by Bill Nighy, is just a crazy old coot who is like insane. He hates all the modernization of Christmas. In his day, they did it with 8 reindeer in a sled, and we managed to still get it all done, and an elf. And so Arthur Grand Santa and an elf, they take off with like this old decrepit reindeer and the rest of the reindeer, and they try and go and return this gift. And it's a great like all in a night adventure. The governments of the world detect the sleigh at one point. They think it's aliens are invading. Like, it's so cute. It's very funny too. So like you should definitely add it to your Christmas list.
I will be adding it to my watch list. And now for something completely different.
There you go.
And my pick is Drive.
Oh, that's a good one.
So, not charming, not sweet,
No.
and not British. So, and just this is there's very few films by Nicholas Winding Refn that I could just sit through and not just feel like, do I hate myself today? But like Drive is so cool. And just the style of it, the music of it, the soundtrack of this movie is so special with Kavinsky and college and everything. And this is the dawn of Ryan Gosling's like dark, muted, brooding protagonist, with that cool scorpion jacket. And then you have Carey Mulligan, you have Oscar Isaacs in this, and just the great supporting cast of like Bryan Cranston, Ron Perlman, but Albert Brooks, Marlin from Finding Nemo, and the comic relief guy for decades of film is a horrifying, brutal gangster, and you're just like, what? And Albert Brooks kills it. This whole movie is slick, it's intense, and it's not Fast and Furious, according to the one lady who sued over it.
Oh God.
Yeah, but like this is like the essence of cool this side of a Steven Soderbergh film.
Yeah, that was one that I only saw the one time also. I don't I, I don't know if I enjoyed it, but I know I didn't dislike it. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't hate it. So I guess that's a plus.
This film's definitely like grown on me over
Yeah.
time, and it does kind of like fit in with like, hey, I'm like a film guy in college. I have a Fight Club poster and I have a Drive poster and all kinds of stuff like that. But like,
Drive was the Fight Club poster of the next decade.
yes, exactly. But like, there's just something special about this film, and like Night Call by Kavinsky. Just like the second that comes, I was like, and just like the sense of the whole entire movie is just fantastic. It's not an easily accessible movie. Let's just put it that way. It's also very
I
brutal,
agree. Yeah.
so warning
Yeah, a little
you.
bit. Yeah, I
Um,
definitely enjoyed it. I love Gosling in pretty much everything. So I was always going to be giving it a couple points.
mhm, absolutely. Now, 2012, the year things did not end.
Yes, that is correct. We managed to make it. Although I
Just
think, what did they say, that because of daylight savings time, we actually got it wrong, so we still might see it.
might have been 2020.
There you go.
To be honest.
That would make sense.
But we won't be
So
getting there today. But yes, 2012.
2012, that is where I have the very first Avengers movie. I absolutely love it. It is my favorite MCU movie. It is my favorite movie of 2012. I just, so much happened in 2012 for me, but that movie was just, I couldn't wait to see it. I couldn't wait to get it on DVD. My wife was literally giving birth to our daughter, and we were just kind of waiting for that to all get started. And I'm watching it on my phone. And like later that year, I have it on my phone still, and I'm doing inventory in the back room and it's playing. I watched that movie so many times. It was one of those movies where you go in with such high expectations, and it exceeded every single one of them. And I know people have come down on it over the years because like the first half is a little slow, but like it has all the humor. Like this is before the MCU went overboard with everybody has to quip. Like
Yeah.
it was funny, it was original for the time. They took an idea that, like, you've mostly seen these comic book movies and team ups and stuff as animated or in a
Yes.
comic book itself. And so like today is very prescient with the new Batman I mean the Flash trailer that just came out. So like it's, you watch the Flash trailer and I just think to myself, I can't help but thinking the Flashpoint animated series looks better. Like it looks like they cut a lot of stuff out so that it's different, but like it just doesn't look as entertaining. And so the Avengers movie had the exact same problems going into it. Like, how can they possibly live action achieve what they've done in animated form, in comic book form before? And so when it was over and they had done it, they got every single bit of that movie right, the way that I wanted to see it done. And it just, it was magic for me. And so to this day, it's one of my favorite movies. And that one shot, that sweeping one shot where they're just going from character to character, playing off of each other and doing the thing, like that's why they make movies, just so you can have stuff like that. And it just, it back when the MCU was simple, it was just perfect.
Ah, that first sky beam.
it was the sky beam to set off a long line of repetitive sky
Sky
beams.
beams. But like them just, defending New York City against the Chitauri and Loki long before anybody knew who Thanos was after the credit scene. I didn't. I'm just saying, like, look, it's a big purple guy grinning at
I
us.
I thought he was a suit. I thought he was a scroll. I'm like, is that a scroll? Is it like the super scroll? What
Oh,
is
my
this
friend
guy?
was like, "Oh my god, it's Super Scroll." I remember that very distinctly. And as it turned out, we had to wait until what 2023 to get that probably. So that's definitely coming in Secret Invasion. But this Avengers movie is still so much fun, and back when things were a lot less complicated. It's just like, why is Edward Norton look like Mark Ruffalo now? Doesn't matter. Just
doesn't matter. Who cares?
who cares?
Get over it. It's like Mark Ruffalo isn't a pain in the butt on set. Like
No, he seems to
he's
be
trying to rewrite the whole movie. I guess it
no.
worked
He's just a pain in the ass when he's trying to market the movie. Just like,
yes, a
stop
whole
spoiling
slew of new problems.
everything. Uh, but Shakespeare in the Park.
Mm-hmm.
He's adopted.
They even
Unicod.
they're still getting copied today. Dungeons and Dragons did a Loki get smashed by the Hulk scene in that movie, and it's just, it's one of those movies when he punches Thor, like
Yeah.
there's so many moments.
I got that reference.
I understood that reference. It is a classic meme now. Like
Yeah.
like the movie did so much, but like even the little lines like, "Does mother know you weareth her
They're
drapes?"
drapes. It's just so great. And that whole climax, it's like, Dr. Banner, I think it's time that you get angry.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, Cap. Secret, I'm always angry. And he just punches out that
Punches
giant
that
sea snake, and
thing.
you're just like,
It's so beautiful.
there's very few moments that could top that in the MCU.
Even the writing in that, like, I know we're not supposed to like Joss Whedon anymore, but like the way he wrote for these characters was very Whedon-esque, but also it it made the movie feel not like an MCU movie, but like a Joss Whedon film. It like the
Mhm.
way that they talk to each other, the way that the dialogue wove together, it's something that we haven't actually seen from the other movies in the past going forward. It he had this way of making it feel like you're reading a comic book. And
Mhm.
it really worked out. I highly recommend if you get a chance, watch it with the audio commentary with him, because Whedon goes through a lot of the stuff that he like fought for and really wanted
Mhm.
to make sure that he got in. They almost didn't have that sweeping one shot of everything. So like he fought for that, and it's just that movie comes together so well. It's amazing.
Well, now they just did re-edits with Josh Whedon,
There
so
you go.
that, there you go.
Zack
So,
Snyder comes in and re-edits the Avengers now.
so my pick is also a very big franchise, just one a little bit older, um, but somehow has less movies, which is James Bond, and my
uh
pick is Skyfall.
that was my number 2 of the year.
Well, there you go. Oh, Skyfall, that was something else. I remember going to this movie having watched James Bond movies since I was like 6. And just being a big James Bond fan since I was a little kid. And this was the perfect bridge from this like new dark, gritty, rebooted Daniel Craig Bond and like everything that came before it. So you still have like Craig being this steely James Bond, but he has his quips and they're fun and
Mm-hmm.
enjoyable. And this is the best M has been in any of these movies. Judi
Yes,
Dench was incredible.
she is
Um,
so fantastic.
and setting up Ray Fiennes as the next M was like,
That was so surprising.
I'm just like, yes, even though they really haven't used them to the fullest in these two movies since,
Yeah.
but they tried, I guess. Uh, Ben Whishaw as Q, fantastic. Silva, what a villain. That entrance, talking about a couple of rats and flirting with Bond, getting
Mm-hmm.
weird, and just,
I love it when he goes, "Mommy has been very bad."
yes.
So good.
Javier Bardem really knows how to play a villain, and we'll definitely talk about that the next time when we go through the 2000s. But like just the choice to have a bleach blonde too, which was apparently
Right?
his choice, just like so creepy. And if what they wanted to happen happened, which apparently that Kincaid role was written for Sean Connery, who
Was it?
declined it.
Oh, you know what? No, I did hear about this. Yes, that would have been amazing.
But you had Albert Finney instead, who's like, "Welcome to Scotland,"
Yeah.
and just shooting people with a sawed-off shotgun. The movie turns full blown Home Alone at one
Mm-hmm.
point,
Oh my
and
gosh.
you have all the old gadgets and stuff and Deacons.
The
Deacon,
cinematography of that ending where they're from the house fight all the way into the field to the very end. It's just like,
the
oh my
fire and
god.
everything.
You could see where he started playing around with the lighting for like what he would, I think, perfect in 1917.
Yeah,
Like it's so
100%.
similar. It's very beautiful.
Just Deacons can just shoot every movie. Uh,
Right?
cinema would be so much more beautiful. But like this is my favorite Bond movie, to be honest. And like this And this Casino Royale, just like this was a great time for Bond. We'll forget what bridged in between.
It was in every other situation.
Bond's Solids basically felt like a half a movie, and like a half baked movie. Thanks, writer strike.
Yeah, right.
But like this movie was so fantastic, and it just brought like that old school style Bond back, and with Craig in it, which was pretty cool.
100% agree. Everything in that movie, from the music to just the action, like I get it. It's really freaking amazing that Silva was able to predict right down to where he'd be when that train went through the tunnel. Like that's some next level planning there. But like I don't
That's
care.
Bond
I watch it
villainy
and I
right
don't
there.
care. Like he's like it's just so cool. Like who cares if it doesn't make any sense? Like this movie from start to finish, like when he gets shot on the train at the beginning, and you're just like, oh.
And then Adele just comes
Yep.
rolling in and just been.
Oh, she sure did. That song is. We listened to it. We listened to it in the car this weekend when we were driving back. It's such a good song. I love it.
Yep. Now, 2013.
2013 is my year of shame. I'm gonna pull up I'm gonna pull up my letterbox list because I feel like I picked this movie because of my top 10. I've only seen like 3 of them more than once. And I don't know what it is. I mean, I guess my first daughter was born in 2012. So that year I didn't see like any movies that following year. So I have Toy Story of Terror as one of my highest rated movies of the year because we watch that every year and I love it. But I decided to go with Her because
Okay.
between Her, About Time, Whiplash, Lock, I just I really love all of them. It's just I haven't really seen them all enough to really solidify like this is the one I love. But I think at the end of the day, of all of those, well, actually, About Time probably makes me cry more. But I think her hit me in all the right places, both
Mhm.
emotionally and just from an entertainment standpoint. Like I know if I watch About Time, I'm probably going to end up bawling by the end. If I watch Her, I know it's not going to be just crying. So like there's more to think on that one. The whole relationship aspect between him and Scarlett Johansson's character, and just the idea that like especially towards the end when she informs him that she's like I'm having 17 like other relationships like simultaneously with other people because I'm an AI and I have the ability to do that. And it's just like it totally changes the idea of the movie, but at the same time it's it's necessary for his journey as he goes through this healing process. And so like I think that Her really is one of those like sneaky amazing movies
Mhm.
that is not only underseen by so many people, but it's just it didn't get the clout it deserved when it came out, and I still don't think it gets enough chat today.
Yeah. My mind went into a horrible place when you said like 17 affairs at the same time. And I'm just thinking of Clerks. And I'm just like
37
Evan at the same time.
at the same time? No.
So, but like fun fact, I hated this movie the first time I watched it
Really?
because I'm a robophobe. And
Oh, well, that's fair.
I would not get the second I started watching this and realized he's falling in love with a machine, I'm like, I got irrationally angry and was just like, no.
The
And
Sarah
like,
Connor Chronicles must have really messed you up.
oh, Terminator, Skynet's gonna happen someday. But when I allow myself to like shut that down, I'm like, calm down, Shane. Just watch the movie. This is a great movie.
It is.
It is a great film. It's like Spike Jonze does such an amazing job bringing this whole film to life, and just the colors, just like the color palette, the visuals. Joaquin Phoenix is just amazing and so unbelievably believable as
He
this
is.
character.
It really is.
He could play so many, like, well, I guess he is really good at playing like fringe
The sad sack.
society people. Yeah, yeah. You got her, you got Joker, just like Bo's
Mhm.
afraid. Just not have a great day. And
The master.
Scarlett Johansson's great, like with what she's
Yes.
able to do with just her voice, and like that Olivia Wilde scene, like freaks me the hell out every time. Where it's just like, why did this escalate so quickly?
Yeah, right?
And like him playing that game and that little character being such a little a-hole to him.
Yeah.
Like that's a great moment. It's just there's so many great things about this film.
Amy Adams. They
Yep.
they gussied up Amy Adams to the point where when I first watched it, I didn't even recognize that it was her at first. I'm like, is that it? I mean, granted, I had started it on my phone because I was at the gym, and then
Yeah.
it transferred. Like I was like, oh, I need to watch this on my regular TV. I can't just watch this on the phone. But I was like, holy crap, that's Amy Adams, and she's just so perfect in it. She's like a girl next door character, but
Mhm.
also not. And it's just she's doing something so subtle in the movie, but it's so perfect. I just really love it.
Fantastic. And you see, this does get a little depressing towards the end, but definitely not as depressing as my pick, which is Prisoners. Uh,
Oh gosh, yes.
so
Pressing towards the beginning, the middle, and the end.
every single second of this movie, just Denis Villeneuve is something else as a director, and this film might be the most emotionally devastating thing that I've watched. And
That's a way to put it.
yep, the mystery and the layers to this story, first of all, is so unexpected. Deacon's back again. Uh just the way that he just holds a shot on a tree and you know exactly what the hell's happening and you're just like, I feel so dirty watching this movie. And the performances, Hugh Jackman scares the living daylights out of me in this movie. And when he is raging, I'm like, where did they have this every time he's been Wolverine?
Right?
Like
Well,
this
the PG-13, hide behind the PG-13 wall.
finally got in Logan, but like
Yeah.
here, like he is raging and scary, and then you have this intensity that Jake Gyllenhaal brings, Detective Loki, and just this whole cast. Paul Dano, just
Hmm.
so creepy. Um, and Melissa Leo though, what a cold, cold lady.
Which one? Who is she in that?
She is the woman that he like visits at her house.
Oh, okay.
Without
It,
saying too much,
yeah, 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 I gotcha.
I don't want to ruin this 10-year-old movie for people.
It's
Um,
only 10 years old. I swear. I know I saw it probably in like 2015, but like it feels like this movie has been like traumatizing me for decades. Like
the ever since you watched it for the
right?
first
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
it just burrows into your skin and won't let go. There's
Yep.
something so dark and foreboding about this whole entire experience, but it's so perfectly made and hits every single button. Well, probably should move on to the next one before we get too depressed. So
Right.
2014.
2014. If you need to pull yourself out of a depression and you need to watch something that's gonna make you laugh, cry, and become a part of you, might I offer you a John Wick chapter one?
There you go.
Because oh boy, I mean it's awfully convenient timing with chapter four having just come out, but yeah, as I was going through my list, I'm like looking at my 2014, and I noticed I was missing a whole lot. I had only made a top 10 list like years ago, so I'm like, I gotta fill this in, and I start pulling up the movies. I'm like, how is John Wick not on this list? It made it all the way to the top like immediately. It's one of those movies where when the trailer came out, I was just like, oh, that looks terrible.
Yep.
So I completely skipped it in theaters. And then I heard it was really good, so I picked it up and I rented it. And I've probably seen the first movie now probably 3 dozen times. Like it's one of those movies that I watch like at least twice a year.
Mhm.
It's so good. It's simple. It's Keanu Reeves doing exactly what Keanu Reeves does best. Action and little talking. And
Yep.
he emotes so perfectly through his face and through his movements that you don't need a whole lot. But then when he does talk, oh my god, the one-liners that come out of his mouth. I love them so much. But like it's not even like my favorite part of that movie is when John Leguizamo says because he killed John Wick's dog and stole his car, and the dude's just like, "Oh," and
Yeah,
that's that.
that's
And I'm
that.
just like, it's the best line of the entire. You know everything you need to know about this movie and this character with from that one single two-letter word, and it's just like, let's go. And the movie is just so much fun from there. It never stops being fun.
John Wick is not the boogeyman. He's the one you send to kill the boogeyman. Baba Yaga.
Yes, he is.
And just
Oh
like,
my.
I've been wondering if I'm back. Well, I'm thinking I'm back. And just
You're
like,
good, Keanu. I love it.
and well, what's crazy is in chapter 4, apparently he had 3 times as much dialogue in the script, and Keanu Reeves just took every opportunity to cut words out of it. Apparently, that whole scene where he's negotiating the duel there's like 10 times as much dialogue, and Keanu Reeves is
Oh
like,
wow.
just like, gun. Just like, nope, that's it. Moving on.
We don't need like
No,
the
don't need
story is
it.
so simple. You don't need a lot of extra explanation, exposition, dialogue. It's just the less he speaks, the more terrifying he is as a character and the more
Yep.
you love him. I
Him.
I
Yeah.
hope that they do something with Willem Dafoe's get like I know they're doing a prequel and like I with the fourth movie having introduced Donnie Yen and the Japanese guy who ran the hotel. I forget the actor's name.
Hiroki's Sonata.
Yes, those two. The implication that they were best friends coming up in this world. And obviously, in the first one, Willem Dafoe was also so close to him that he was willing to give up a $2 million contract to save John. So I can only imagine, like, what would a movie of the four of them be like? The only downside is they'd have to get younger actors to play them. And I kind of just want a movie with those four and like we'll pretend like Wet Hot American Summer
We
style that they're
will
all
not
younger.
notice. We will not care. They'll do their thing, and it doesn't matter.
It's like it'll just start the movie and it'll just say like 1994 and they're all the same age they are now and we'll be like, good, let's go.
Let's go. We don't need them to Irishman this. No, just
Yeah.
we don't care. That's not what we're here
We'll
for.
pretend. We'll just pretend.
It's a movie. We're already pretending. We can do that. So John Wick is just so great, and what it spawned and what's going to spawn. I'm just so in on all this.
The filmmaking style, the long cut, the long takes, like the action, the way that it's portrayed, the camera's zoomed out, you can see what's going on. It's directed by a stuntman, for goodness
Yes,
sake. It's like
Keanu's
these are the
stuntman.
lessons I need you to take these lessons, Hollywood, and now disseminate them into your other movies. Stop ignoring what these brilliant minds are putting on screen. Like, we love it. Do more of it.
I am such a huge action movie snob. Like, huge snob. And this is one of the 3 greatest action franchises of all time. Like, easy. Easy. And we'll be talking about another one soon. But for 2014, also now for something completely different, the Grand Budapest Hotel.
I love that movie.
I feel like, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I feel like this is like peak Wes Anderson.
I agree, 100%.
Like, I think this was the perfect mix of him and his idiosyncrasies and just a maturity that he brings to this, and the genre mixing. This is a caper. It's a murder mystery. It's a comedy. It's a war film. It's a political thriller. There's horror elements. That whole museum scene. I'm like, I want Wes Anderson's Haunted House movie. After
Oh, that would be so good.
so cool.
I mean, I don't know if it would be very scary, but I would still enjoy watching it.
I don't know the tension that he built in that scene with Jeff Goldblum and Willem Dafoe. I'm like, I can see this happening. Like,
yeah, but at the same time, it's still he'd have to like, can he hold that up for 2 hours?
I'm willing to try.
I think he'd make an amazing horror comedy.
Yes. And just Ray Fiennes. How did this man not get nominated for an Oscar for this?
Don't know.
This
He's
is
so wonderful in this movie.
Pure delight. It's just like, you just like my mother's like, you go to bed with all my friends. Just like and they all just like the whole punch.
The punching. I just love that moment where he's standing there and then he just takes off. He takes off running.
And then Edward Norton and all them start chasing him to the hotel. Get your hands off my lovey boy. Just everything is so perfect. And like the frame narrative within a frame narrative within a frame narrative. It's like, Wes Anderson, what are you doing? But it works. And just the Jude Law and F. Murray Abraham parts, and just F. Murray Abraham telling this story. And like, I'm gonna get emotional just thinking about Agatha. And just Saoirse Ronan and just Tony Revolori, just the whole cast. Like, this cast is insane. And like, now it's French Dispatch and Asteroid City are just like, hold my beer. Just
I mean, all of his movies though, like from Grand Budapest on, I can't remember what he did right before that, but like Moonrise Kingdom, like
Isle of Dogs.
Isle of
I
Dogs,
remember like the drumming, and it's just like
yeah, like he's like, they didn't have enough room on the screen for all the names. They had to do it in two. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, everyone wants to work with him, and it's definitely paying off. Mr. Fox, that's what it was. I think Mr. Fox is where he started really getting all the big names on there. But
you got Clooney and Meryl Streep playing married foxes. Like, what?
You got Bruce Willis in Moonrise Kingdom.
Doing between that and Looper are like two of the last few things that like he was like really acting well. And
they got him to act. They got him to care.
Well, they got him to care. I was just thinking M. Night Shyamalan got him to care for the 4 days that he had him for shooting in Glass. And that was it. Which is why he's in like 20 minutes of the movie. Couldn't afford him. But now we're getting into the second half here. 2015.
For honestly years, Ex Machina held this place. And this is another one where at the end of the day, I ended up choosing the one that I watch more, and that's The Martian. Like, I love Ex Machina so much because of what it is and just the way that it blew my mind that first time I saw it. But The Martian is one that has just grown on me more and more as I've seen it more and more. And it's almost like it's my white whale also, because I am forever going to try and get my wife to watch this movie because I think she'll like it. But she has such a problem with space movies, and she doesn't like the idea of being like a second away from total suffocation, so she won't watch them. And
it's okay.
I'm like,
she could just science the shit out of it,
right? And I'm like, no, that's not even. It's like Star Wars. You don't even notice. Like, it's Star Wars, Star Trek. You could deal with those. You don't even notice that, like, if he stepped out of this spacesuit, he'd die. Like, you think like, oh, Mars, he can live there. It's cool. He's been doing it. But like, it's so funny. At the moment when he's typing on the thing and he's cursing and they're like leaving it and they're like, you're actually on live.
Like he cared.
Right? Just there's so many funny moments in it. Matt Damon really just carries that movie, but more so than his outstanding performance in it, just everyone else around him. Talk about another stacked cast. You've got Jessica Chastain, Donald Glover's in it for a little bit. You got Chiwetel Ejiofor, Sean Bean, who surprisingly does not die. Like, and
he doesn't even come close.
Not even a little bit. Like I was really expecting him to be like, I'm gonna fly that first rocket up there, and then oh well, that's it for you.
He's in a sweater vest.
I know. It's just everything about it. It's such a fun story, which is weird. It's like it's a fun story of survival, but like it really is. It's a fun story because it's never like it. You could compare it to Apollo 13, where it's like we've got to bring him home. And I think the ending of The Martian really nails that feeling that Apollo 13 did. Like when they cheer that like they've rescued the guys in Apollo 13, you feel that. And in The Martian, when he gets saved, you feel it again. Like I'd say Apollo 13 was the last movie to really capture that feeling, and The Martian just takes it and I think does it even better because like the whole world is watching and just like you're right on the edge of your seat with the rest of them because you've been living with this guy for how many years now, or like what was it, a year and a half that he was stuck by himself. So like it's just so good how it all comes together at the end, but yet it's one of the funnier movies of the year. I mean, look at the Golden Globes. It was the best comedy. So, you know,
which Ridley Scott was so mad.
But it really was a funny movie, and it deserved to be counted as like, I mean, obviously it's not a comedy, but it's a dramedy. It's so good in every aspect and then just the way that I believe that they went to Mars and filmed on Mars. Like it looked so beautiful. Like they could have done that on green screen. They could have gone to a desert on Earth and filmed it and then just colorized it, but it still was filmed beautifully. So just The Martian, it really gets me every time.
That gave me hope for Ridley Scott again. And he's had sprinklings of that hope again since Last Duel. Nobody saw.
Loved The Last Duel. I can't believe that they pushed the other one, which was awful.
Why was that movie 2 hours and 45 minutes?
That was that. Yeah, they should have ended that one in a brisk 95 minutes. That's when I lost interest.
Yeah. But The Martian is just something special. And sorry, Leo, I would have given to Matt Damon.
Yeah, Matt Damon. I mean, I know
or Michael
Leo
Fassbender,
had to get really
for that
in there
matter,
with
for Steve Jobs. Like those, like Matt Damon's, you know, they were just gonna give it to Leo at that point.
Wait. 2015 wasn't that Wolf of Wall Street's year?
That was 2013.
Okay, yeah, my years are all off. It was the Bear movie. The Revenant was 15. Yep. Okay, so I was right. I was like, oh no, did I get that wrong? Is it not?
No, he survived getting mauled by a bear and a Tom Hardy to win that Oscar.
One usually has to survive a Tom Hardy in order to get an Oscar.
Not many people survive a Tom Hardy. So there you go. This was probably the easiest pick for me on this list, seeing as this is my second favorite movie of all time. And Let the Fury Road go.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was going to be it.
So, if you couldn't tell, I love Mad Max. The Wasteland.
I didn't know
this. Surprise. And this is what I was referring to as one of the three greatest action franchises of all time. Because this is one of the purest action films ever put to film. I was sweaty and tired after the 2 hours in the theater, sitting in my black leather jacket and my black jeans watching this.
No.
Yeah,
even I didn't dress up to go to Star Wars, man. What are you doing?
Never once dressed up to see Star Wars, but I dressed up to see Mad Max Fury Road. So this is from start to finish nonstop mayhem.
It really
And
is.
Dr. George Miller is a mad genius. This is the man who brought you Happy Feet
I was
and
just gonna
Babe,
say,
Pig in the City, and brought us Mad Max Fury Road. It had the color scheme of Happy Feet mixed with Mad Max. He's just like, I discovered colors. Since the last time they made one
I
of
think
these.
he made Mad Max even more colorful than Happy Feet.
Yes, just the act like
Happy Feet walked so that Mad Max could
Max could
run.
run. This was legitimately the most insane action treat you could possibly have. And why did Warner Brothers spend $150 million on this? I don't care because I got it. So
I still can't get over how a movie wins every award for all the technical things and pretty much the making of the movie. Like, we think that you made this movie the best, and it did not win Best Picture that year. I do not understand that. Like, it it literally had everybody saying they made this the best movie. It's one of those movies that is fantastic to watch. It like John Wick. It's not a lot of dialogue. It's not heavy in plot. It's a very simple story, and yet it does so much with its time. And it you get to the end of that, and you just I don't know what I just watched, but I loved it. Like every minute of it.
every second of it. Junkie XL's score, which this was a really tough year for scores, mind you, because Ennio Morricone finally won because the Hateful Eight, which that score is amazing.
Oh, okay.
We
That
had
was the
Force
one.
Awakens, but how did this not get nominated? This was one of the most purely unique and adrenaline filled scores in the history of movies. And the Academy's just like, no. I chucked my notebook across the room with all my Oscar picks
Oh no.
when they announced that Alejandro Salas Inarritu won Best Director for The Revenant over Dr. George Miller. I'm just like,
Blood vessel bursts in your eyes.
and then this is why I have an irrational hatred for Spotlight as well.
Oh no.
I'm like,
Oh, don't take it out on Spotlight. Spotlight was
nobody
good.
will remember Spotlight in 20 years and we'll all still be living
Oh no, I
on
think
the
people
Fury
will.
Road, shiny and chrome.
The Catholic Church is pretty big, pretty big.
Well, they'll sweep this under the rug.
Yeah, right.
So then nobody will remember Spotlight in 20 years.
Hey, Spotlight is what brought back Michael Keaton to the spotlight. So that was accidental.
No, it
So
wasn't. Birdman did it the year before.
oh, I guess that's true. I always forget that those didn't come out the same year. My bad.
So I'll stop my rant of the Oscars from that year. But yeah, this is just cinematic perfection. And please spend another $150 million giving me a sequel. Thank you, Warner Brothers Discovery.
A Furiosa movie is always just right on the horizon.
I'm just waiting for them to cancel that.
Yeah.
And then I will really give up on Warner Brothers Discovery. Dead to me.
Warner Brothers Discovery is already dead to me. They're fighting an uphill battle at this point.
Yeah. Now, 2016.
2016. This is another year where there was a movie that just it solidly owned the top spot for the longest time. And it's only been over the years that I can't deny it any further. As much as I love Arrival, and that movie had me bawling in the theaters at the beginning and the end of that movie, I just absolutely love Moana. It is very quick. It's my number 3 favorite Disney movie of all time now, and we're such a Disney household that I've seen Moana like I more times than I should have in the amount of time that it's been out. So like especially I've got two girls who that was Moana was my youngest daughter Lily's first movie in the theater. So we all fell in love with it pretty much instantly, and just the music in it. I've got those songs memorized. I love even the ones people don't like the Tamatoa song, the Crab with the Jermaine Clement. I
How
just
dare they? I had Shiny as my ringtone on my
oh
phone
yeah,
for
I love it.
literally 3 years. I'll sing it to you right now.
Oh,
Sumatoa hasn't always been this glam. Was a grab little crab once. Just oh my god,
I
Shiny
love
is
it.
a gem.
I
So
love it. I love it. I just everything about this movie because it's another one. It's not too complicated. It's a fetch quest movie. They go on an adventure and she has to, she has to collect her stuff. She collects her demigod, she collects the hook, and then they go, she learns how to be a sailor. I think it's also the Hawaiian island, like Pacific Islander like theming that I really connect to. I love like the music and how like Lin-Manuel Miranda did the music for it and really pulled from the culture and just everything about just from start to finish. You've got the Moana, make way, make way.
yeah.
Like I love how poppy it is without being poppy, and
Mhm.
it it really like the flashback song where she sees like she has the vision of her people
Yes.
doing the thing, and then with Grandma Tala and just when she
Rachel
turns into the
House.
when she turns into the freaking stingray, and I'm just like a blubbering mess on the floor and just everything. It's so much fun and it's funny and it's the Rock. It's one of the Rock's few shining moments. Like I'm not a fan of his. I love him as a person, but like he picks the worst movies, and this was one where I think they just nailed. So I just
And now he's gonna beat us to
oh
death with it.
goddamn. Yeah, I mean, let's not get started on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't understand. Like I am all for Disney going like people keep going, oh, Disney remake live action is so stupid. And I'm like, but it's fine. You never know. They might have a gem in there. I personally don't like most of them, but you know, they sometimes they do so.
They
When
got
they
Jungle Book.
announced the Moana one, I'm like, why? It literally just came out. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my
Yeah.
life. Why are you remaking Moana? Like, and in the same sentence, they were like, and Lilo and Stitch, which is my favorite. And I'm like, I'm all right with that. They can do that. That was my favorite. I love that one most. And
At
I'm cool
least
with that. But
that's 20
Moana,
years
that's
old.
offensive. Exactly. Exactly. Like it just came out. I don't understand it.
But,
Anyways,
but yeah,
rant over.
2016 was a very interesting year because one, this was the first year that I did all of this. Like I started my YouTube channel in
Oh
2016
wow.
and everything. And this is the first year I kept track of all the new movies that I watched and really ranked them and stuff like that. And I had Moana and Zootopia and Kubo and the Two Strings in like my top 20. This was a great year for
It was an
animation.
amazing year for animation.
Yeah. And my number one is the furthest possible from it. And I was one of three people to see this movie in a theater when it dropped was Silence
Oh, I've never seen
Martin,
this one.
by Martin Scorsese. Um, so this was not the first time that I saw this when I did my whole Scorsese thing. I saw this in a theater. I saw the trailer and I was sold. I was hooked. I was waiting, and they're like, "We're gonna squeeze this in December, right, so that we could get some Oscars, get one nomination." That
Yep.
failed miserably. They really needed to market this a lot more, and they did not. Because it's going to be a hard sell anyway. It's a 2.5 hour faith-based film from Martin Scorsese, but this is gorgeous. Rodrigo Prieto deserved that Oscar nomination he got for the cinematography of this film. Scorsese killed it directing this. There's so much passion about faith in this film, and Do I buy any of these actors as Portuguese? No. Sorry, Andrew Garfield, Adam Driver, and Liam Neeson's. Who like Liam Neeson's was in this movie for like 15 minutes, like the whole entire runtime. But when he was great. Andrew Garfield kills it. Adam Driver kills it. The Japanese cast in this film are all amazing. And this is such a deeply profound and impressive faith-based film that doesn't like beat you over the head and forget that it's a movie. Um, and actually talking about faith. So like this is definitely a hidden gem for Scorsese. And yeah, not enough people saw this. And then he's like, well, nobody saw that one. I'm going to get Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, and Joe Pesci to be in my next movie. Going to make it 3.5 hours, but on Netflix. So then we got The Irishman. So,
Yeah, The Silence is the one that I missed because of exactly what you said. They tossed it in theaters. It was probably maybe here for like a week between Christmas and New Year's, and that was
released 2 months beforehand. That's it.
I didn't even see a trailer.
They rushed it into theaters for award season. Now we're down to the final three. I'm going to be talking about another reckless budgeting from Warner Brothers in a minute. But Nick, what's your 2017 film?
Well, I know what movie you're talking about because it's definitely in my top 4 of the year.
Yeah.
But for me, my favorite is it's Pixar's Coco. It's a movie that has just gone up my list every time I see it, to the point now where it has managed to compete with my heart. Like I can't in good conscience yet replace Incredibles, Nemo, or Monsters Inc. from my top 3, but I'm very close to. Like, I have a very strong feeling in the next several years, Coco will be my favorite Pixar movie of all time. It is just beautiful. The animation in this movie is so stunning. Like when they show the city of the dead for the first time as he's crossing that bridge of leaves, it's just insane. And I've seen like the behind the scenes of it, like how each individual like house like going, like they must have animated like hundreds if not thousands of just the most detailed things to just put in like the background. It's just so stunning, on top of the fact that it's Pixar's first musical and the music in it is excellent. I'd say my only complaint is that they don't give us more, because I have most of the soundtrack and I'm disappointed that I did most of the soundtrack. I have the whole soundtrack, but like most of the soundtrack is just a few songs repeated, and like the score itself, and the score is beautiful. But like, I feel like this could have been one of those Disney movies where they made extra songs that you put on the CD, like that may not have been in the movie, but here's some cut songs that we thought about doing. Like, I wish there was more of it. That's how much I love it. It's just, I want there to be more. And then on top of the fact that it's just the most beautiful story about life and death and family and remembering, and will you be remembered when you're gone? And just, it's just so beautiful in every respect. I love Coco so much. Also, I have kids, so we watch the animated ones all the time. If you can get an animated movie to really move me after all the ones that I've seen, like, you've done something special. So,
and I'm just so happy that Pixar had so much faith in this beautiful film that they had to throw Olaf in the front of it for 25 minutes. I saw
Don't get me started on that.
I saw this on a Discount Tuesday, and I'm just sitting there for 25 minutes like, when's Coco starting?
Why did they want to torture us? They're trying to kill it. They're trying to kill Coco. They want people to get up and leave and walk out of this theater, because at that point, Olaf was an all right character. And this Olaf short, it wasn't short. It was a half-hour movie. It was it literally was like, hey, we think Olaf is great, and we know that we used him the right amount in Frozen, but what if we used him too much? And that's what it was.
If you
And I
think
can't
about it,
believe that they,
trailers plus that is an hour.
oh, it was an hour between the trailers. I took, me and the whole family went, and this was 2017. So my wife was pregnant, 6 months pregnant with my son. And we took the two girls who at the time were 5 and 3. So like this was like going to the movies with a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old is not an easy task to begin with. So like the fact that we got them in there, we were sitting down. It was on a weekday because it came out at Thanksgiving. So like it was it was the Olaf thing pissed me all the way off.
Yes.
But then the movie itself completely redeemed Disney. Like it made me forget that Olaf just completely ruined the beginning of the night.
Yep.
But I mean, that could have put a huge damper on the movie. Like my wife hates Up because the first 5 minutes of that movie just wreck her, and she can't recover from it. She's like, I can't like,
And then it becomes the weirdest Pixar movie.
yeah, like I can't do Up because that like the first part just completely floors you, and just you can never recover the rest of the movie. That's what this Olaf short did. So the fact that not only did Coco recover, and by the end of it, that first viewing, I was like, wow, that was amazing, is just a testament to how great Coco is.
Yep. Benjamin Bratt's Remember Me. Just
Oh,
love it. Remember me.
when
And
he
just
gets hit
like
in the face with a bell.
that was so great. And then just melted,
Mhm.
melted at the end. Just oh my god. I love Poco Loco.
Poco Loco is a great one. My favorite one's the very end, the one where Miguel is singing with his family. Mi Familia, I think, is the title of that one. So like,
Mhm.
it's just, oh, it's so good, so good.
And let me damper this down with a tech
Oh,
noir.
real quick, real quick, real quick. Skeleton Michael Giacchino. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say. Carry on.
Uh, and what I was referring to as when Warner Brothers decided to spend $175 million making a Blade Runner sequel, which was a film that bombed in the first place. Whose bright idea was that? But
I
I
don't
don't
care
care.
whose idea it was. It was a beautiful risk that
Yeah.
never
So
should have, never was
did,
going to work.
did I spend this money? No. So I'm going to enjoy Blade Runner 2049.
So amazing.
This is peak science fiction filmmaking, and Denis Villeneuve. This he was prepping for Doom, and this film is striking and gorgeous and engrossing. Ryan Gosling again popping up here, steely, barely speaking, brooding protagonist. Getting Harrison Ford back
Right?
and actually like caring. Um, and like that whole fist fight with the Elvis projector going on. The whole Vegas sequence. And uh did did Deacon shoot half my picks? Probably. Um so finally won an Oscar for this one. Took him
Right? It's
13
about
times.
time.
This
Much deserved.
100%. And this is a towering display of technical prowess and like Dave Bautista giving that performance at the beginning. And even if it's anybody's birthday, my buddy Joe's like, happy birthday. And just like that creepy Jared Leto a happy birthday that he gives in this movie. Um, just this is so impressive from start to finish.
Oh,
Just everything about this film is something else, and I still can't believe they made this, and I'm glad they did.
I can't either. It really is. I'm one of the few Although I don't even know. I feel like I say I'm one of the few people who did not like the first one, but then like I say that and everyone's like, no, I didn't really like it either. So like I guess it's maybe we're just now not afraid to say we didn't like it because the film nerds who love it won't be able to take us because we're greater in number now. But like I didn't love the first one. I didn't even really like the first one. I had to see it like 3 or 4 times and like just to get through it. And I get what it was doing, but like it just never held my attention. It wasn't, and I've seen the different versions, like the one with the narration, the one without the narration, and it doesn't help. It doesn't. I'm like I've tried to watch this movie every way that the director or anybody else wanted me to watch it, and not a single way holds up. But 2049 it's in my top 5 of that year. It's probably in my top 100 of all time.
Mhm.
And it's so beautiful. It's engaging. The story and the mystery of what is going on, it hooks you every time. Even when I rewatch it, like knowing what it is all about adds layers to it and doesn't make you go, oh, okay, well, I'm just waiting to get to the end now. Like it's worth watching every single time just because you pick up something else. And the performances in it are great. And what's her name? Buttercup, Princess Buttercup, and her real name is House of Cards wife.
Oh, and Robin Wright.
Robin Wright, that's what it is. I love her in it, and like it's one of those small roles that is almost kind of underappreciated, but like she really nails what small screen time she has, and just
You have Ana de Armas.
the technology in it, the Ana de Armas of it all, the way that it
The
looks and feels, and it looks like they filmed it in the future. Like they
Yeah,
computer graphics nowadays, like the last like 10 movies I saw, the graphics don't look nearly as good as this movie does. And it's such a shame that it didn't make any money at the box office. But I mean, I guess if it did, they would have probably started pumping out sequels. And I think it really is one of those few standalone moments where I think we could just leave the Blade Runner franchise alone because they did it. They
they
nailed it.
perfected
They
it.
did a sequel that pays homage to the original, that the people who like the original can enjoy, and also it's a movie that if you didn't like the original, you can very much enjoy it.
Mhm. Got 2 more years, 2018.
Oh man, here we go. Ready? This movie has, in fact, cracked my top 100. It is one of my favorite movies of all time. I have seen this movie more times than Moana, and it's been out 2 less years. And that is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I fell in love with this movie from the second I saw the first trailer. I just knew, like, there was a part of me that was just like, are you really getting this excited over an animated movie from Sony? Sony has not been kind to
Smurfs.
you, especially no, especially on the animated side, but like just in general, like I am one of those people who I appreciate Spider-Man 2 for Raimi's direction and the action, but I think the Raimi trilogy is not the movies that everyone makes it out to be. I think the internet and memes have increased people's affection for that movie in a way that they kind of go into it with blinders on because I don't see what everyone else sees. I think that they're messy like movies that the studio was clearly embarrassed about being a comic book fan for. Like they're like we want everyone to see it, so we're going to make it like a rom-com instead of like a movie that focuses on the characters. Like I never really enjoyed them. I think that there are some amazing moments in it, like Doc Ock fighting Spider-Man in the bank. That amazing, the train sequence. Like they're movies filled with moments, but I never really trusted Sony after that. And even still today, I don't trust them. Craven the Hunter and Morbius and all that nonsense.
I heard he's going to bite
Um,
somebody's face off.
I heard that as well, and that the Rhino is going to be comic book accurate in this movie. So We'll see. We'll see. I don't trust them. They showed with Morbius that they don't know what the hell they're doing. But I and even with like Ghostbusters and Carnage, Sony is they don't have a great track record. Like I liked Ghostbusters, but like you can tell they cut about 40 minutes from that movie. They get Finn Wolfhard and he's in it for like 30 minutes. Like no, he was the hottest thing on the planet when they cast him. There's no way they didn't cut his entire arc out of that movie. But I digress. We're here to talk about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And so I get into this theater after seeing this trailer already quite excited because it's like, wow, that looks amazing. And Lord and Miller's names are attached to it. And it's a Miles Morales story. And I don't know a ton about Miles Morales because he showed up when I was at the age where I wasn't really reading the comics anymore. So I took my daughters to it, who were younger. And I was like, no, it's an animated movie. It'll be fine. I ended up traumatizing Nia because she got really scared of the Kingpin, which that scene with the Kingpin at the end is actually kind of intense. They killed the first Spider-Man, the Chris
Chris
Pine
Pine
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Killed Chris Pine Spider-Man. So like I'm like, oh my God, I've taken my children to see a movie where they're not afraid to kill Spider-Man, and now like it's a horror show. And so like she's crying, she's not thrilled. I'm like, it's okay, it's just a movie, don't worry. But like we're still watching it, still enjoying it. And so like I'm concerned at the end of this movie. I enjoyed it a lot. But when we got done and like an hour later she calmed down, she was like, can we go see that again? And I was like, hell yeah. And so like right there my fear of what the movie might have been to them just dissipated, and I was then able to like go back and see it another time, and like it got even better the next time. Like I thought it was great the first time through, but like there's always that little bit of you that's just like, oh no, what have I done with my
Mhm.
kids? Like there's always that I have to be a dad too. And so
Yeah.
like what we saw it again, and I just fell in love even more deeply with it. And so like we saw it and I got it. It came out on my birthday on DVD. We watched it like a million times. By the end of the week, my wife was like, please put something else on. We watched it so many times. But like even she was like, I get it. It's super good. I totally understand why you enjoy this. And it's so funny and it's
Mhm.
so clever. Oh my God, when he goes, he goes, I heard you snuck out of here last night, Morales. And he goes, play dumb. He's like, who's Morales? Not that dumb. He just takes off running. It's perfect. I love it. It's an amazing movie. I love the way that they animated it and how like the frame rate on Miles is slower until he gets more comfortable with his powers, and as the movie progresses he becomes more in tune with the rest of the frame rate. I love the dot comic book dot
Mhm.
animation in the background that I know a lot of people say looks blurry to them. I personally have never really noticed it. It just it it's such a perfect movie, and it's in my top, I'd say, 5 or 6 of all time now. Like I love it. It's just perfect.
I want my Spider-Man Noir spin-off because I
Starring
want
Nick
Nick
Cage.
Cage. Uh, give me the cage. Um, that the music and like the
Yes.
Prowler theme and
Oh
just
my gosh, yes.
they're like Daniel Pemberton does not get enough credit for some of the coolest scores. Like he made that Guy Ritchie King Arthur movie feel like a million times better than any right to feel.
No, he
Because
didn't.
that score is deserves a much better movie.
The score might have been good, but he didn't make the movie any better.
I still listen to the score and how many years later. But like just this was just blew everybody's minds. And like we're getting the next one in a couple weeks.
So soon. I can't wait. I went to the bathroom intentionally during that when the trailer when we took the kids to see Super Mario, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to the bathroom and I had to go get another snack for somebody. And I was like, I'll be back. And they're like, but the Spider-Man trailer's on. I'm like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. And then they try on the way home, they're trying to tell me what happened in the trailer. I'm like, no, I don't want to know. Stop talking.
Leave me alone. I feel like a broken record. And now for something completely different.
Oh, here it is. What is it?
If you can't tell, I like some high science fiction and some dark movies apparently, and that's Annihilation.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good one.
I remember sitting in the theater watching this, and at the end of the movie, somebody getting up and just like, what the hell was that? I'm just like, you obviously didn't appreciate what we just watched.
I had people walk out during mine, which was really weird because they had like a blanket and everything. They were under their blankie, they had their popcorn, they were all ready to go. I guess they went into the wrong movie because about 20 minutes in, they were like, nope.
I was gonna say, was it the bear? Was the bear that got them?
I think it was the bear. Yeah, I think it was right around that point. Either that or maybe when what's her face turned into a tree, Tessa Thompson.
Yep.
But yeah, they just up and left. They're like, nope, this is not for us.
This is one of the trippiest, just incredible, thought-provoking science fiction films I think I've ever watched, and also horrifying. Like,
it was.
That bear scene will never, ever escape my brain.
You think the bear? Everyone says the bear scene, and I agree. The bear scene was terrifying. That part at the end with the weird like thing that just mimicked her and then became her, like I was like so close to just closing my eyes and just covering up and like, just tell me when it's over, because
there was something
nightmare fuel,
incredibly unnerving about everything that goes on in this movie. Alex Garland, though, like, well, like Ex Machina was like my number 2 of 2015 behind Fury Road. So like, this is just, there's something about the work that he does and that makes you think. There's great performances, the music. I was gonna be so mad if I didn't get the wah 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 from the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
When trailers give you awesome music and don't give it to you in the movie, is the worst. And then when I was watching this and they actually gave it to us, I'm like,
I believe that's called the Happy Death Day syndrome.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know if I wanted this, actually, in hindsight, because like that's when it came in, was at the climax of the movie. You're just like,
oof. Yeah. That music combined with the imagery in just, you're already like yelling at her, do not go in there. Like, and then she goes in there and the music is just,
and then we don't even know
that
what
is
the
a scene that stuck with me. Oh my gosh. But it's so good. It's such a fascinating movie. Like, the movies that stick with you long after they're over are the ones that I've found to be to make my list, move up the list, especially like as I was doing this list, like movies like The Florida Project, Don John, just stuff like that. I saw them maybe once or twice years ago, and yet I see the poster and I immediately remember the movie, and like, it's every now and then I'll just be like driving to work when something will trigger it and I'll be like thinking about that movie and I'll be like, that really stuck with me. And it makes you ponder just like life, the universe, and everything, depending on the movie.
What are you doing? You're upsetting your mother. It's like, I look like a grandmother, but do I have grandchildren? Oh my God, Don John. Being an Italian American from New Jersey, I'm just like, that Tony Danza, that's an Italian dad right there.
Tony Danza, indeed.
And now, which I would argue, I think is the best of these years.
It has to be.
And they needed it to be, because then we got screwed for years.
It's almost like they knew in advance. And I was wondering about this. What are the odds that Marvel ends its huge franchise 1 year earlier? Imagine if they had waited one more year, that would, if we didn't get Endgame in 2019, if it was a 2020
Nick,
release, what would
stop,
have happened to the
stop,
world?
stop. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to imagine that scenario. It was bad enough we brought it upon ourselves by releasing Cats in the
This was
theater.
it's
Cats
the
brought
first
about the
horse of the
apocalypse.
apocalypse.
Yes. Cats was the horseman of the apocalypse that
We chose war.
yes. But 2019, this was a year.
Sure was.
So,
I have
Nick,
4 movies listed on my page here that I'm like, I don't know which one I'm gonna go with because it's so good. The first, my top. This is my top four. My top four are Jojo Rabbit, 1917, Knives Out, and Endgame. Like in any other year, one of those movies coming out would have made it a great year for movies. We got all 4 of them in one year. It blows my mind. That's only my top 4. There were
that's
so
just
many
the tip of the
others.
iceberg.
I know.
Like we got the greatest dad movie of like in years with Ford v
Yes.
Ferrari. We got The Irishman. Just there was for like any very like art house cinephiles out there with like The Lighthouse. Robert
Mm-hmm.
Eggers just
Not
I
for
didn't
me, but
I didn't think I needed a movie where
it
I
came out
saw
that year.
Robert Pattinson doing certain things and farting all the time. But you know what? Got it.
Hey, if we can sit through Swiss Army Man and Daniel Radcliffe doing it, why not Robert Pattinson?
And Willem Dafoe. It's like, why'd you spill your beans, Tommy?
Yeah, I mean Parasite, you've got
Yep.
Booksmart, Klaus, Doctor Sleep, I really loved Little Women.
I love Doctors.
It was such a good year. Ready or
What are you
not.
going with?
I'm going to go with uh Jojo Rabbit is the end. I think that one probably encompasses all of my emotions in one movie. Like 1917 I love for its technical aspects, and I really do love the story, and I get emotional on that one too. But and then Knives Out is so perfect with the mystery, and it scratches that itch of a mystery movie because we haven't gotten a really good one in a long time. Obviously Endgame is all spectacle and just nerdgasming all over the place. But like Jojo Rabbit, it's funny, it's sweet, it's heartbreaking. It's just it checks off every box, and it's a movie that just every time I see it, I love it more and more because the performance of the boy who plays Jojo, just it comes down to him and the girl and their relationship as it goes on. You're so scared for him and for her and for everyone, for Scarlett Johansson, and like you don't know what's going to happen to them. Knowing what happens in real life in a world like this, it's just it's a roller coaster of emotions. And then Taika Waititi shows up dressed like Hitler. And like I tried to explain this movie to someone, I'm like, you have to see Jojo Rabbit. Well, what's it about? I'm like, okay, so this little boy growing up in Germany during World War II has an imaginary friend, and it's Hitler. And they're just immediately like, and this is a good movie. Like, it's an amazing movie.
Movie.
I just and it's the little moments like at the very end with Sam Rockwell, like Sam Rockwell sees what's happening, and he may be for the cause, but is he also sees the world for what it is, and he's trying to protect Jojo. And like it's just his character. And then what's his name? The dude from John Wick and Game of Thrones, who's his right hand, Sam Rockwell's right
Alfie
hand man,
Allen.
Alfie. Yeah, yeah. And then his role in it, and just the way that the two interact, and like they get it all dressed up in the costume at the end, and just they add such levity to such seriousness, and like the scene with the Stephen Root,
Stephen Merchant.
Stephen Merchant, that's what it is.
We
Stephen
just
Merchant,
were Heil Hitlering.
they're all Heil Hitlering each other, but then like 30 seconds later, they go from one of the funniest scenes in the movie to one of the most tense scenes in the movie when she shows up and you're just like, why are you outside of the wall? Like,
Yeah.
oh God, it's so heart-wrenching. And then when he walks into the square and you see the people's feet dangling, and just
Nope.
the terribleness that has occurred, and like his childhood is over, and yet there's still that little bit of hope at the end that maybe he'll be okay. And just
If I had my way, Scarlett Johansson would have won two
two
Oscars that
Oscars
year.
that year. That's what I said.
Two Oscars that year, because this is peak best supporting actress performance in this movie. That whole thing where she was playing her and her husband.
Yes.
Like what are you doing, Academy?
And it's not like we get performances like that from her often. Like she has her roles, and she has roles that you can appreciate her for, but like that was just so multifaceted. And then to
Yeah.
do another equally amazing performance in Marriage Story that same year, it's just, I mean, I appreciate that she was recognized through nominations, but man, that would have been an amazing to see her win both,
Yeah.
because she was really deserving that year of that.
The Polynesian washing of Hitler. Which that was the best tweet I think I saw all that year, was when Taika Waititi's like, I'm gonna Polynesian wash World War II. Here's the thing. This is my number one too. So we finally agreed.
Yay! We did it! We did it!
Finished on a good note. We had the same number one for 2019. I love Taika Waititi, and
There you go.
I love his work with Marvel and Star Wars, but I want more of this. Like, I want more of these films that he's doing that are more artistic and stuff like that. Like this and Hunt for the Wilder People and What We Do in the Shadows are like peak filmmaking for
Amazing.
me. Yeah.
Yes. This is exactly what he needs to be doing. I appreciate that they want to give him more money to be himself on a bigger budget, but like I think Love and Thunder showed us that maybe he needs a smaller budget to really sing.
I want to see the real Love and Thunder.
I want to see it. Release the YTT cut,
I
the
just want to
8 hour
see
movie.
I just want to see what it was before Chapek was like, this has to be 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. So I agree. I I said it. I was on the SiftPop review with Aaron, and I said then, I'm like, I think this movie would have been the perfect Disney Plus show. You do it in 7 hours. You really give Jane and the other characters time to shine. You break it up into digestible pieces. You give Christian Bale his dark stuff, but you do it in a different episode, and it doesn't feel like you're completely changing the tone of your movie halfway through. Like it really, if he filmed that as much as they said he filmed of this movie, I I think they had enough to really expand on it and make it a better movie. But Taika will be Taika, and he's being pulled in like 80 directions right now. So I really hope that he lands on one like JoJo, where it's a movie of love and of something that he really wants to do, and not something that a big studio wants him to do.
Well, I know he's working on a Star Wars film, but I really want him doing stuff like this. But you know what? That's his
Allegedly.
life, and he's getting dump trucks full of money dropped on his lawn. So good for him.
Yeah, right.
But that was the 2010s. And I know you're all excited for us to do more of these. I really enjoyed this episode. So we'll definitely be continuing to go back in time until we figure out when we've exhausted our resources.
All the best movies, and this is the definitive list. We will not be taking questions.
Not taking any questions.
We're gonna, after we're done here, we're gonna flip a coin and we're gonna take our 2 picks and assign one to heads, one to tails, and then that'll be 1A, 1B.
1A, 1B. Nick, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It was a good time.
And would you like to shamelessly plug anything before we wrap up?
Shameless plugs. Yeah, I am at Jagged2319 on Twitter and Letterboxd. You can follow me there. I like to post silly things on both. I've been very Star Trek heavy lately because I have the Star Trek Picard review coming out for SiftPop. Don't tell Robert, I haven't started writing it completely yet, so probably I'll get it to him this weekend because it's just a lot. The season 3 was so amazing and requires multiple viewings to really get it all in there. So stay tuned to that on SiftPop.com for that review.
And thank all of you out there for always tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.